All right, I am live. Good. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Just put on my chat here. I'm so glad to be with you guys tonight. I have some serious topics that I want to talk about initially, and then we'll get into some different things that people have emailed me about, and some questions that have been coming up a lot in my sessions recently. And then I'll look in the chat and see what else is coming. I feel like my light is changing and it's tripping me out. Am I seeing that, or is that actually happening? Super weird. It's like bright, and then the color is changing. I don't know if that's my eyes. Anyways, I appreciate all of you guys. Hi, Chastity. Hi, Mark. Hi, Dawn. Stephanie. Thank you guys for Colette. Thank you for joining me this evening. Hopefully, this will be the second of many. I have been super busy, the past few years, just doing a lot of different things, but I'm prioritizing my channel right now because I think that getting information out to the collective is extremely important. And a lot of the information that I get in my sessions really should be shared with everybody. And I think that I've been blessed with an opportunity and a beautiful gift to share so many positive and uplifting messages that if I kept it for myself, it wouldn't really do much good for humanity. And so I try to be respectful, and I have a lot of boundaries with my clients. So I don't share any personal details ever unless they give me permission, which some have. So I just give general kind of information through my sessions. I've had several people recently email me saying, "You're the modern day Dolores Cannon." No, please don't call me that. That gives me way too much anxiety, and then I'll be too nervous. So I would never want to, take her shoes, live in her shoes. She was an amazing woman. And gosh, like if I ever, but anyways, thank you that's such a beautiful compliment, but yeah, no way. I don't want that much attention on myself. But this group, this community that has been kind of with me from the beginning, or that continues to support me, I appreciate your continued support, and that means the world to me. And I love having this intimate group because I really like to attract, like-minded, positive people. And I love that for the majority of the time, the comments in my videos and in these chats, everybody's really respectful and everybody's kind to each other. And I feel like the more people that come in, the more likely we are to just have the negative eggs here and there that are kind of just negatively minded. And I don't want to attract that. I want to attract the people who are ready and willing to listen to the things that I have to say. So I kind of like the smaller, more intimate groups. But as we grow, and that's fine too. But what I want to start with tonight is something extremely important. And I have been just like chomping at the bit, waiting to talk to you guys about this, because it's been coming up so much now that it's a little bit concerning to me in my sessions specifically, but also people that I know and people that I know that tell me that they know of people in this specific situation, which is kind of having these suicidal thoughts. Now, I think most of you have read my book, my newest book, or have watched a good portion of my 3D interference series. But one of the first episodes, if not the second, I talked about voice of God technology. Now, voice of God technology, also known as ET interference. So there's a couple other names for it. Don't get too concerned about the names of everything. It's human nature to focus so much on the names, and then we get distracted. So it doesn't really matter what it's called. But there is specific technology that we have in our reality that's been here for a very long time, but it's only gotten stronger and stronger. It goes through the 3, 4, 5G towers, the satellites, underground, above ground, from all different angles. So it's not just one place. And what it does is it emits a radio frequency, and it has different resonances. Is that a word? And it will kind of emit a not only just negative frequency bands. So the opposite of what we need, something to keep us in a low vibration and to keep us kind of disconcerted, our energy, and fragmented. And so we're more likely to have anxiety and stress. So many people are feeling it right now. But there is also another element to it, which is the negative affirmations. So negative affirmations are infinite. Now, there's no way I could possibly tell you all of them. I give a ton of examples in the book. But there's no way I could possibly say all of them. I mean, you think it's there. So there's an infinite, and there's a bunch of algorithms that are going to feed out negative affirmations. So it's going to be anything like, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart, I'm not worthy. I hate myself. I hate other people. I want to do harm to others. It makes you think really bad thoughts. It also will insert things that you wouldn't normally want to do, like get these things. And I talked about that in the book. In the pandemic period, many people who were set on not doing that admitted to me in sessions that they were having random moments throughout their day where they're like, oh, maybe I should just get it. And they were like, where is this coming from? And I'm like, oh, you're not alone. There are so many. I just talked to like five other people last week that said the same thing. And they're like, I never would have done it. Why am I thinking this? And so they can insert suggestions. They can insert negative thoughts, all sorts of things. I mean, like I said, it's infinite. And what's concerning me right now are the suicidal thoughts. And very specifically, even, I've heard the same exact thing more than once now. I have just imagined going to the woods and blowing my brains out, basically. Sorry to be graphic with you guys, but I can't not talk about this because I have heard it so many times now that to me it seems like a negative insert, and it's possibly something that the dark players are, incorporating right now, kind of in this 11th hour, this really big trial and tribulation period where the things are heightening up. And it's getting pretty bad. And so they're trying to, anybody that they can bring their vibration down, or is already in a vibration of fear, which many people are if they don't know what's going on. And even, unfortunately, even those that are the most positive that I know are starting to doubt. And so if you have any doubt or any crack in your auric field or anything that they can, kind of hook into and pull you in, then you will match a frequency, and then this affirmation or this energy will come towards you, but you will perceive it as your own thought. So suddenly you're going to feel very depressed, or you're going to start having visuals of you doing something like going to the woods and offing yourself. And you would have never thought that. You would never do that in a million years, but you are suddenly having those thoughts. And people are having these manic episodes. I would say a good dozen people that I work with are having manic episodes. Several of them have ended up in mental hospitals. Their families have put them away. They've been threatened to be put away. It's happening every single day all around us. And it's serious. And so the reason I want to talk about it today is, one, if I have talked to a good number of people who have thought it, know somebody that has thought it, then that means that there are many more that I don't have reach. And I just hope that maybe one of you watching this, if you are or have had an irrational thought like that, then you will hear this and say, oh my gosh, I recognize that potentially the thought is not yours. And that is not something that you would normally do. And you don't need to rack your brain trying to figure out what's going on, because it's not coming from you. So there's a lot of environmental negative frequencies that are being emitted, probably more than we've had seen previously, because this is a spiritual war. And, the dark players are going to do everything they can to ensure that the lower the vibration of the person, the more likely they are to doubt. Then they're more vulnerable to manipulation, and then they'll second guess their thoughts, and then they'll second guess everyone around them. I can't tell you how many people are also second guessing everyone they know, and they don't trust anyone. I mean, including myself. Like I can trust. I put a meme out on my Instagram the other day of it says, I can trust this many people, and he's like squinting and looking at a paper that's like this big. So I resonate with. I understand that. I mean, there aren't very many people I trust either, but it's making people a little bit nutty. And feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't trust anybody, and everyone's out to get me. And so I want people to recognize that this is amplified. Your thoughts are being amplified by the energy around you of this voice of God technology, the ET interference, whatever you want to call, whatever we want to name it. But it's really, it's causing suicidal thoughts. So if it's you, or somebody that is having suicidal thoughts, try your best to hold the space for them, encourage them to disconnect from social media, disconnect from from like friends that are not awake and perhaps have a negative mindset and just drama drama drama, and they're attracted to that, or they're watching whether it's mainstream news or sorry to say, but there are some truther news outlets that are just as bad these days, because it's just negative. It's just constantly pumping negative fear of, oh, look what's coming. And there's a delicate balance of, okay, let me warn the public so we can help awaken, and the extreme of that, when it's just negative 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 all the time. It's like, where's the positive? What is your suggestion then? I understand all the things that you're seeing, or the evidence that's showing all where the trajectory of the negativity of where we might be going. But what's your suggestion? What can we do to combat that? What can we do to empower ourselves? And that's where I like to focus my energy on, is, okay, we know all of this, then what can we do about it? So we ground, we disconnect, we go out in nature, we pet our animals if you have them, or your neighbor's animals, laugh, have some joy in your life. Put all the lists of million things that you're stressing about, just put it aside and say, I'm not gonna look at this right now. I'm going to take a break from that. I'm going to create boundaries, and I'm going to center myself and ground myself in any way that works for you. You don't have to meditate, or do breathing exercises, or play with crystals. Some people don't like all of that. You can go for a walk on the beach. You can go and walk in nature. You can exercise. You can do something creative, create music, sing, whatever it is that you like, even golfing. I mean, whatever it is that you want to do, as long as it's disconnecting from this 3D grid, this influence, this 3D interference, then you will likely start to recognize the thoughts that are yours and the thoughts that are irrational. Because I got a very good question the other day on a video that I created, called "How to Call Upon the Animal Kingdom," and I really recommend, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it, because it's near and dear to my heart. And I explain a really bad experience that happened to me, a psychic attack, like next level. And I shared that was the only way I really could get out of it, and it worked, and it's worked 100% of the time since. And I recommend that. But somebody had a question, how do you know if you're being attacked psychically? And I had to think about it, because to me it seems so obvious, but I realized a lot of people probably don't know what the signs are. And the signs are pretty obvious sometimes, but sometimes they're not. And if we are really connected into the 3D grid, and we're so worried about finances and work and health concerns and all of these things, you might miss the signs. But when you really just take a step back and you breathe, or you do whatever you do to ground, then you start to pay attention. So it's all about mindfulness. Pay attention to the thoughts that you have, and start to discern. Write them down and say, okay, and really take a moment to reflect and say, is this something that, would I say it this way? That's how I can always tell if something is my own thought, or if it's a thought that's coming, or it's a message coming through a guide of mine, or someone else in a session. Because I'll often say to my clients, oh my God, I would never use this word, or I would never say something this way. And so there are good ways of communication, but also you can tell if it's negative, if they're negative thoughts. Then if it's something you've never thought before, or if you catch yourself, this is the number one sign. I always tell people, if you catch yourself thinking or saying out loud or whatever, I don't feel like myself. That is the number one biggest sign. When you say, I don't feel like myself, then you are not yourself. And that means that you have some sort of attachment, or you're connected to 3D interference that is implanting thoughts or suggestions or fears in your mind. And you are not able to discern that it's not your own. And so you take it in as your own, and you now adopt that as your own belief systems. Even people can take on entire belief systems based on that, because they don't know. So if you feel like, I don't feel like myself, I feel out of sorts, this is not me, any combination of that means that you are being interfered with in some way. Now, you don't need to be afraid. You need to actually pull yourself out of fear and pull yourself in the empowerment mode. I tell people to stand up and be your superpower. Stand in your superpower stance, and go outside or go wherever you feel empowered, and say, I do not consent to this 3D interference. I do not consent to any attachments that are not of my highest good. I am a sovereign being. I'm empowered. I resonate, and I walk only in the light. And so it is in all dimensions, time and space. I mean, there's a million combinations, and there have been some incredible suggestions that all of you people, probably many of you, I didn't mean to say it that way, many of you have placed in the comment section in my videos and suggested beautiful passages, affirmations, whatever you want to call it. So there are 1,000,002 ways, and there is no wrong way to stand in your power and say, I do not consent. There are other things you can do, using specific crystals, using different scents and sage. And I'm not a big fan of sage, but you can use copal, palo santo, whatever. I feel like if your intention is to clear it, whatever you use, if you truly believe that it works, then it does. So it doesn't matter if I hate sage, if I don't like sage, other people will swear by it. Great. If it works for them, then use it. So find what works well for you. But we got to get out of the slave mentality. And that's what the 3D interference is all about. It's going to keep you sucked into this lower vibrational field so that they can manipulate and feed these negative thoughts into your mind. And suicide, in all of the years that I've been working, it is the biggest one that I've seen. I'm talking within the last 30 days, even it's amplified over 50%. So this is a big deal. And people that have never thought about it in their entire life are having those thoughts. Even if it's a fraction of a moment or a millisecond that pops in your head, it's happening to people. And that's all it takes for a lot of rational, pretty intuitive, balanced people to say, hold on a second, that's kind of freaking me out. I would never think that. And they don't know what to do with that. So there's a lot of ways to look at that, but really trusting and going within, as I have said for many years, is the true recipe, is the way to heal. And there are many healers and psychics and intuitives that can guide you and help you as much as possible. But truly, you have the power to heal yourself and to trust and go within. And if you don't trust your intuition, but you go and you seek the intuition and you trust of someone else, such as myself, it's great, but it's never going to serve your highest good, because you'll never be able to say, okay, I don't need Sherri anymore. I don't need this person anymore. And as much as I love to have people around, I don't want anybody to need me. I never wanted that ever, even from the very beginning. I wanted, even from seriously the beginning, when I first started working with people and I kind of went away from working with animals, because it was clear to me the messages that the animals were giving me was that people are the ones that need the help the most. I said, I even in the very beginning, I told people, because they would always say, when do I come back? And I say, no. And I would tell them, take some time to discern and to ground and to go within and take the techniques and the ideas that I've given you, and then come back when you're ready. But I don't want anyone to ever feel like I'm their crutch. Nobody should be anybody's crutch. But it's nice to have support at the same time, which I believe this is what we're doing, and this is how we're helping each other. And this is one way I would like to help anybody watching this that is drawn to see it, that resonates with it. I can help them in some small way, even if it causes the thoughts in someone's mind to shift, and then they have a sudden epiphany or a knowing. It could be one word that I say that they're like, oh my God, and it can change everything. And that's happened to me before with people, where they've said something to me and I'm like, oh my God, if they knew that they just changed my life based on that one way. And I've known that my whole life, but the way they just said it, something about that really just touched my heart in a way that I wasn't expecting. And so you never know where it's going to come from or how it's going to be said. But right now, we really have to trust our own knowing and to go within, because the dark side, they don't have compassion. Remember, a lot of the NPCs running around this planet who are soulless beings, part of the dark players army, they don't have compassion. They don't care if they hurt us. We're sitting there wondering, how can they possibly hurt us? Many of us are spending our time and energy trying to change them, and many of them never will, because they don't have the compassion element. They don't have the empathy. They don't relate to the connection that we have as a human being and a soul from a higher frequency, a higher say that 10 times fast, a higher vibration. And so it's hard for many of us to say, I don't understand or try to understand where they're coming from. You can't make sense of it. And they don't have any rules. They don't go by free will. They will do whatever they can to win. And when people get desperate, they will do things that are unimaginable. And that's what's happening right now. And we're seeing it in the collective various different ways. And I don't want to draw attention to any of those things, but you all know a lot of the things that are going on. And the best way to combat that is to shift your energy and your focus on, okay, how can I raise the vibration? How can I hold space for healing since this event occurred? Whatever conspiracy theories people are saying, oh, that's not true or whatever, it doesn't even matter. Don't even argue. Don't even get involved in that. Just say, I'm holding the space for healing. And then you just shift your energy and focus only on, okay, how can we move forward? Because I think that the dark players' agenda has been, historically, how can we keep the population's focus captivated on these negative narratives? And they do that by continuously playing them over and over in the news or the news feeds in your social media. Keep playing it over and over. And the scenes, I mean, how many times have you seen the same negative scenes over and over? It's like they want it to be, because it's all about repetition. So repetition can be a positive but it can also be a negative thing, depending on how we use it. So we can have positive repetition and change our life in a positive way because we break out of the patterns, we break out of the loop, so to speak, what I call it. Or you can have negative patterns, negative repetition to hold you in a vibration that you are unable to move forward in, and you lack motivation and confidence and all of those things because you are in a vibration that is kind of an enslavement, really, in a roundabout way. So I welcome any questions that you guys have on anything that I've said so far. I'm sure there's a lot more I can say, but I don't want to monopolize the time of this live because I did want to answer some live questions, but I did get some great questions a couple of days ago and even today. And the last one that I want to talk about real quick is yes, seeing through the fourth dimension. I'll give you a story. I saw the movie Paranormal Activity when I was I don't know how old I was when that first one came out. I think I was 24, something like that, 25. And I was just starting to hone into my gifts. I was a mom of a couple. I think Jordan was 2 years old. So I started to really tap into my gifts. And that movie really rocked my world, and not in a good way. I mean, it scared it scared me to the core because I knew that all of that was true, and I knew that was a possibility, but it implanted all of these suggestions, and I started to see darkness. I started to see things that I never saw before. And so I had a really stern talk with my higher self and my guides. And I said, if I am going to develop my gifts and if I'm going to see, then I requested this with conviction. I said, I do not see into the dark. I only work with the light. I only wish to see the light. And I don't want to see the darkness because it's too much for me. It's too overwhelming because there's a lot of dark. I don't think people realize how much darkness is in a dimension that resides right next to ours, or right on top, or right beneath, that is coexisting with us. And I've seen it. I've had glimpses of it. And luckily, my soul recognized my request and said, okay, you're not going to see it. And luckily, I see beautiful fairies, dragons, all sorts of animals, angelic beings, galactic beings in my sessions, Arcturians, Andromedans, Pleiadians, Lyrans, you name it. Insectoid beings. I mean, things I don't even know what the names are, but they've always come in peace. And I've had bleed throughs of moments where I see something really dark. Or I ask to see it when I'm in a session with somebody and I want to know what's haunting their child, and I'll say, okay, I'll see it for a second. Or sometimes when my daughter is in fear and I ask this being to reveal, who's harassing my daughter, and I'll see it for a moment. Sometimes I've been really freaked out and I'm driving my car and all of a sudden I will have a bleed through. I must be in a really relaxed state, and no music's on and no one's in the car. And all of a sudden I'll see these, what I can only describe are these pterodactyl looking beings that I don't know what they are. But they are not good. They're not friendly, and they fly and they'll go right in front of my car, and they're scary. And I don't know if they're bat pterodactyl, what the heck they are, but they're not friendly. And there's a lot more. There's a lot of things that I've seen in these bleed through moments. And imagine if we were all driving our car and people just started seeing that stuff, that we would have 1,000,002 accidents all at the same time. So it's a scary world out there. And you don't want to see some of this stuff. It's quite scary. And what I've learned in my sessions, a lot, I think, is a running theme, and I've learned, from just time after time, is that a lot of people have to be blocked for so many different reasons. I have chosen to not see because I don't want to see the dark. I probably have seen the dark enough in my soul's journey and history that I'm like, I'm good. I don't want to see that. I only work with the light. But there are a lot of star seeds when I do sessions, both children and adults. Their soul will tell me I'm blocked for a reason. Maybe they're carrying really important codes, or they are grid workers, or they are in communication with their soul family and for something really important, and they're kind of undercover. And they, the way that the dark players, whether the shadow beings or the minions or whatever they are, there's so many. The way that they steal or access our information, our wisdom, whatever it is that we have that they want, is through our consciousness. But the caveat to that is, if me, Sherri, I don't know in my mind's eye, like if I don't know consciously in this body, brain, life, these Lemurian, light codes that could unlock, portals to inner earth, let's say. I have it on some level, but I don't have an unconscious knowing. I can't be hacked. They can't hack my mind and get to that information. So I'll have a session with somebody and they'll tell me that exact thing, and they won't tell me either. And so they'll say, but this is why. Please let her know or him know that he or she has chosen to be blocked for their protection for a reason. They're undercover. Undercover. That sounds funny, but that's such a 3D thing. But essentially, they are undercover. They are protecting what they know, or it's just simply what their legacy is. I've seen some really incredible things that's not even in my book, because I just found out about them recently, of what I see in the future, and I'll share in another chat. But I'm just like, wow, this is cool. And they're like, this, that's all you can know, because we don't want you to know, and we don't want this person to know the details, because we don't want this information is not to be out yet. And it makes sense to me. So there's a lot of reasons, but just something to think about, food for thought. But there's a lot in this reality that if we saw, we'd have a lot more people checking into mental facilities, because they would be seeing things that not everyone can see. And I believe that there's a whole, and I haven't done a video for 3D interference on mental illness just yet, but it is in the book, and there's a lot of misconceptions and misguided information on mental illness in our reality, and it's not what you think. Well, probably most of you would think, know the truth, but majority of the population don't have any idea that these people are exceptional. They're very gifted. They're seeing interdimensionally, other lifetimes. They're communicating with guides, and they don't really understand it, or can't explain it, or they're not believed. There's so many layers to it. And so they're being placed in these mental facilities. Now, I guarantee you that a lot of these mental facilities are government run, and they are purposely keeping those people there because they are using the information that they know for their benefit. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to get myself into trouble right now. I probably shouldn't have even said that. So that being said, okay, I need to get back to you guys, and I want to see what questions we have. So I'll go in order and see what comes through, or I could just talk about a lot of different things for hours. So please put your questions in here. A lot of hellos. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Oh, here, this is a good one. They use technology in earbuds, like earbuds, to shift the mind. Yeah, so I'm not sure if there's a question, but yes, that is true. So the earbuds, or any type of Bluetooth technology, more so than the wired, earphones or whatever you call them. They are pretty bad, and they are because they're going to connect directly to the brain. They're going to just not distort the brain synapses. They are going to affect the pineal gland in a negative way, and the scariest part is that the voice of God technology basically plugs into your brain um, more efficiently than any other way, almost like a neural link, but not exactly because it's not in your brain, but it's the closest way that they can get um, to our brain without actually going into the brain, if that makes sense. So they're pretty bad. And unfortunately, they're targeting the children and the younger ones. I mean, why do people walk around with those white earbuds or earbud? I don't know the terminology. I'm an old fart these days, but they just walk around with them 24/7. Why do they have them in their ear? They're not even listening to anything. I think it's almost like a fashion statement or something. I don't know. Somebody tell me, please. But yeah, really bad. Like, take those out of your ear and don't use them because they're really bad. And yeah, I'm sure that somebody has explained it way better than me. But yes, that is absolutely the truth. Oh yeah, Mark. It's so important to get out of the mind into the heart right now, and that is the biggest truth. And I think they try to romanticize it. That's not even a word. I say that a lot. Somebody's going to do a bloopers of me one time saying is that a word? I've probably said it 100 times. But in all seriousness, though, in the movies, they always make it so that we can never achieve this, ridiculous, this concept of love and this perfect match and soulmate. That's why I really don't like to use the word soulmate in my sessions or twin flames, because it's grossly misused and misunderstood. It's not always romantic. You can have a soulmate that is your son or a brother or a friend. That's not romantic. And same with a twin flame. Your twin flame does not have to be a romantic partner. And a lot of times your twin flame isn't even in the same incarnation as you. There's so many variations to that as well. But point being, they distort our perception of love very well, I would say, in the 3D. And they focus so much on the romantic love. And they really miss the mark on teaching us from a young age and throughout life that it has nothing to do with sexual and romantic love. Love is a frequency. And love, I think, in our reality is just so misunderstood. I don't even, the word love isn't even the accurate way to describe it anymore, but it is truly a frequency. And when you open up our heart and our heart chakras are flowing and balanced, we have more empathy and compassion for one another, and we are less divided, and we are less likely to be judgmental, and we are more likely to forgive. But when we are within a grid system or a reality that is so hyper focused on heartbreak and getting people back and revenge and like all these different layers of how they manipulate us in movies, we forget that it has nothing to do with any of that. It's just connecting from heart to heart. And when you connect with your heart and not your mind, the ego isn't involved. And you really, truly can see somebody for who they are, even the person you hate the most, who's done the worst things to you. Again, I'm not talking about the NPCs, the really dark players that we don't want to forgive because they're not even human. They're not even, I don't know, well, none of us are all human, but you know what I mean? They're of the dark, and they have no compassion whatsoever. But for just all of the rest of us that make mistakes, we forget what it's like to be on the other side of that. And then we have so much judgment, and that all comes from the ego. That all comes from the mind, the conscious mind, because the conscious mind is our primal aspect, our survival mode. And we need that to make really quick decisions and to think, and to keep our species going. But we forget that there's a whole other element to us, which comes from the heart, which is our compassion and our way to connect with each other through a completely different space, a completely different energy. And that's a really good point that you brought up, Mark. So thank you. Thank you for that. Oh, yeah, I feel I had a spirit in my chest telling me I hate you. Yeah. It happens. It happens a lot. And it'll be self-directed where you'll say, I hate, you have these feelings of, I hate myself, I'm not worthy, or you suddenly hate somebody else, or you have thoughts or visions of harming somebody. I had a mother reach out to me almost in tears and desperation saying, I thought I was connecting to Archangel Michael, and all of a sudden he started telling me to hurt my children, and they were bad, and I had visions of me harming them. And she said, I'm scared to death. I don't know what to do. And so obviously that's not Archangel Michael. There's no angelic being. There's no archangel. There's no even nobody in your spirit family or your soul family that would ever operate from such a density that would say something like that. That is a 3D interference. That is an entity pretending to be Archangel Michael in that instance. And this happens all the time. I mean, my daughter has come to me several times in the last couple of years saying, Mommy, there's a voice in my head telling me that you don't love me and that you hate me, and and you pretend with me. And I just, God, it breaks my heart even saying that. And she said, I don't know, where's that coming from? Is that true? I'm like, so it happens. It happens to us, male, female, doesn't matter our age, doesn't matter where we live, doesn't matter how much money we have. They can get to all of us, because remember, we're all energetic beings and we're all connected quantumly to we're all connected through this beautiful light grid system. So they can get to anybody anywhere. But the good thing is, it's the level in which they can penetrate our consciousness is highly determined on how connected we are to the 3D grid and the 3D interference, and where we are in vibration. That's why people are so exhausted when they're like, I'm so tired of hearing raise your vibration. But, going within, using discernment, all of those things really are the key. And it takes a lot of work, and it's not easy. And there are days that you have setbacks and you want to give up, and it's easier just to, go back into the matrix and pretend to eat that steak and have a glass of wine, like in the movie, because it's just so much easier. It's so hard because every day you have to work at it, and every day it can be challenging, but then there can be beautiful periods as well. So Lisette, that's a great point. And basically what you do is you just continuously say, these are not my thoughts. I do not consent. And you visualize yourself grounding and anchoring into the earth, and your feet turning into these beautiful roots going all the way down to the center of the earth, and just being rejuvenated and balanced and grounded by the beautiful energy of this planet. Don't let people fool you. There's a lot of people lying and saying that this planet is dying and we're going to go to another planet, maybe in their consciousness or their timeline that's overlapping with ours. Maybe that's going to happen, but I don't see that happening, and I refuse to be in that timeline. The timeline that I'm living in, the earth is healing and raising in vibration, and the negative energy is like fleas. They're getting kicked off the dog, because they no longer belong. And the dog realizes how powerful it is and said, "Get off me, little fleas." That's a terrible example, but that the point is, that's what I believe is happening. And that brings me back to another thing that I wanted to talk about, because this has also come up a lot. Our angel numbers. Now, I've done several videos on this, so what I'm saying is not new information, but maybe it is to some of you that are recently following me and learning about my work. I've done several interviews, probably a couple of years ago, and I talked about angel numbers and what that really means. And there is a huge increase of people seeing number sequences. Some people don't like to use the angel numbers, whatever. Like, it's just, again, these are all just words, but there's number sequences. And the explanation that was given to me years ago in a session was that what happens when a large group of people tap into a number sequence like 222, 333, 1111, something like that, all at the same time. And how that happens is that, let's say everyone, I'm on the East Coast, so let's say everyone in the Eastern time zone that sees the clock at 222 in the afternoon, all of those people, could be thousands, all of us at the same time that have just saw 222 on the clock. It's a universal message. It's a collective message for all of those people in that moment. that, hey, we're all connected, and you're on the right path, and we're all getting this message at the same time because we're all together in this. And it's a reminder. It's almost like, how did they describe it in that session? It's almost like they're little rafts or little lifelines that come into the 3D, to remind us that this is an illusion. Like, let me just send them these continuous signs all day long so that they have an anchor point, that we can bring them back to a higher density and out of this reality, so they don't become trapped in it. So at 333, everybody that sees the number is 333, an hour later, okay, and so that doesn't mean if you miss the other ones that you're not connected. You can see one a day, but you might see the other numbers in a different way. Doesn't have to always be an example of kind of this universal connectedness that we have. So 222 would be that you're healing, you're unraveling, and it's difficult, but keep with it. You're undergoing a really big transformation, and there's a lot of healing involved, and it's like you have a under construction sign in your auric field, like, hey, I'm working on myself right now, and it can get messy, and the universe is letting like, just stick with it. And 333 could be, hey, you're on the right path, don't give up, I'm just reminding you to keep going, don't give up, like cheerleaders on the side of the marathon, yay, good job, Sherri, you're doing a great job, keep going, that sounds ridiculous. But then 444 is like it's your soul family. It's like it's your tribe that's also cheering you on, and you're surrounded, and they're letting you're protected, you're surrounded, you're supported. The universe is backing you up, and you're not, don't give up, keep going. And 555 is like, man, it's time for you to manifest. Like, you're getting somewhere. Transformation is occurring. There's big changes coming. There's big shifts. Now's the time to really manifest. Focus your mind and your energy on where you're going, not where you were. No look back. Keep going and focus. Okay, have a focal point where you're gonna focus your energy on and keep moving in that direction. In 666 is not a bad number. Again, just remember that the dark players will steal our numbers, and our symbol, the symbolism for them. And 666, it's really sometimes just a message to take a pause, to, like, maybe you're moving too fast, or maybe, you need to take a break. Maybe you've done enough for right now and it's time to reflect. It's a hibernation period. Maybe you just need to tap or use your discernment. Maybe you've done a few things that you need to take a moment and think upon it a little bit more, and the universe is encouraging you to, like, take a break, use your discernment, be careful. Maybe you should think things a little bit through, a little bit more. What are we at? 777. I feel like 777 is like, we have the lucky 7, and yeah, it's lucky, but it's like, you've made it a really far way. Like, good for you. Like, the universe is like patting you on the back. Good job. You are undergoing a huge transformation. And celebrate it. Pat yourself on the back and recognize your achievements so far. You're going through a really big transformation. And 888 is, you're really working towards enlightenment, and look at how you're helping others. So the point of what I'm saying is, don't hold every word I just said, but it's just kind of an example. But so it's a collective knowing that everybody around you, is also, good job for you, and depending on the number sequence, but the number sequences do have messages, and it does have a significance, and that's why so many people are seeing them at the same time all around the world. I think 1111 is like universal protection. You're tapping into your universal knowing. Your sovereignty. It's even more grand. I mean, they all are important. They all are significant. And the other one, real quick, is some people don't forget about the number sequences that are intimate for you, but may not have a meaning for somebody else. That could be a message for you that's from your higher self. There could be a code within it that every time you see for me, the number 23. So anytime I see the number 23, I know it's a message for me specifically. And I need to pause and take a moment and see, what's going on. And I think a lot of people might have their number that they see all the time as well. So also pay attention to that. And that's going to be more of a personal number, whereas the collective numbers, the angel numbers, the number sequences really are significant amongst the collective. And it's great. It's like, hoorah. And how wonderful is it that so many people we know are seeing it now based on 5 years ago? You told somebody, oh, I keep seeing 555 on the clock. They'd be like, okay. So this is a great progress. It's showing validation that more and more people are waking up and are in alignment with their soul's journey and the part of this ascension, this great awakening. So to me, the more people that are seeing it means that there are more of us are doing things. You know what I mean? Doing things. So, okay, back to your questions. Yeah, hey, Chelsea. Yeah, that's a good one. Uh-oh. Anxiety has been high today. I rebuke fear and replace it with forgiveness and love. Absolutely. And anxiety, man, it's been heightened, really for the children. I don't know, Chelsea, if your son has been really having a lot of anxiety, but so many children are really struggling right now because they're feeling the collective fear. So again, this fear isn't even theirs. Their anxiety is not their own. They are feeling the collective anxiety, their parents' anxiety, their neighbor's anxiety. They don't even know where it's coming from, why they're feeling it, but they're taking it on and they don't understand what's going on. So we have to give our children some extra love and explain that to them, teach them how to ground, how to release, all of those things. Hey, Lenny. Yeah, Joan, Palo Santo. I like that too. All right, leave your questions. Okay, another good one. Okay, how do I teach my 8-year-old to protect herself when she is with her dad? Yeah, this one I've worked with. Unfortunately, I've worked with so many families in this position. I don't even want to admit how many. Gosh, this is so common. So the best way I have coached is to do everything you can to teach your daughter, when you have her, because she's old enough now to understand how to ground, how to protect, how to say you don't consent, not out loud, but you can tell her in her mind. Teach her how to create energetic boundaries around herself. So when she goes to anyone's house that she ever feels uncomfortable, not just his house, but friend's house, or she's in a situation at school or anywhere where she's feeling uncomfortable, you teach her to place herself in this beautiful golden bubble of light. You can surround that with the violet flame. I work a lot with that as well. And tell her she is super protected in that and nothing can harm her or get in her bubble. It's her protective bubble of light. And it's so powerful that she is almost like she's in a little orb, because that's what orbs are. It's just, our other souls, our spirits, or beings coming into our dimension. And many of us can see them. We're catching them in their lights, your light body. When, a lot of people, when they travel, I just did a class the other night teaching women how to create a Merkaba. What is it used for? A Merkaba is just a travel. Well, one of the purposes is to create a mechanism of travel. So when you teleport or you go to other dimensions, other fields, you have this Merkaba of light. That's your transportation system. So in essence, it's almost like an orb. It's your light body amplified, and that you travel within it. So you can teach your daughter kind of the same type of thing. Put her in her little orb, her little light body, so that she's completely protected and safe. Have her bring something that is very connected to her, that is a symbolic of strength and protection with her. So I've had children that, let's say that they are connected to the lion, cats, or a wolf, or some sort of animal, or an elephant. Then mom would go out and buy them a special stuffy, and then they would take that with them. And so then when they hold that, they feel safe and protected, because that is like a very powerful stuffed animal that will protect them when they're in places that they don't feel safe necessarily. You can use crystals. There's a lot of different things. And the unfortunate thing is you can't control what happens over there. So that what you can control is what happens at your home, what you can do to teach her to be safe. And then mom and dad and caregivers and grandma and grandpas, you can also energetically protect your children, your grandchildren, when they are going to these places. Like when my children were in the school system, I would visualize them in golden bubbles of light and Merkabas and everything, many different things before they went to school. And I would just check and reinforce it throughout the day to make sure it was still around them, so that they were only only high vibrational energy could penetrate, and they would get less ET interference and that sort of thing, because they had this high integrity grid of light, that's their own light, to protect them. And then when you get her back, then you have a clearing. Even if you don't know what you're doing, you can put her in a salt bath. You can energetically sweep her. So literally you go in the front from head down to the back, or all over, and just you sweep the energy. You can do the Palo Santo and do that around. I used to do that. I'd call my kids in the kitchen. All right, Aramis, come, Skylar, come, Jordan. And they'd be like, oh, mom. And they would stand there, and I would take the Palo Santo and I would go around their head, and then I'd have them make a spin, and then they'd run out of the room because they couldn't stand the smell. So whatever it is that you do, so you work with them before and after, and then you just do what you can to hold the space of protection while they're gone. So those are a few things. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Okay. What else? There's a lot of thank yous. I appreciate all of your kind words. Kathy, what's going on? I can see your comments. I see them. I saw one. I see two. Yeah, Mark, use wired earbuds if you have to. I mean, sometimes when I go to the gym, I have my Bluetooth ones, and I just don't consent when I'm using it, and then I try not to use them very often. Oh, here we go. Good question. What crystals, devices do you use to block EMFs? Okay, so my absolute favorite is shungite, which funny, I had some for my daughter's birthday. I had some kids come over the other day, and I brought all my shungite downstairs because they wanted to see it. So I don't have any in my desk. I always have a lot of shungite, but I also like black tourmaline. The problem with black tourmaline is it's brittle. I mean, like it breaks, and so it's kind of hard to work with because it is so brittle, like selenite. But anyways, hematite, black tourmaline, shungite are my absolute favorites. But also you can use selenite. I have a lot of selenite pyramids around me when I'm working. You can use, special organites that have a combination of crystals within them. So those are my favorite for blocking EMFs. And if anyone has any other suggestions, please put it in the chat. But those are my favorites. Okay. Yeah, shungite. Okay, question. I'm sorry if I've passed your question if I didn't see it. The electric vehicles that are being used today, every one of those cars emit low frequency vibrations. Besides getting rid of the car, how can you combat the low emitting frequency? Well, I have an electric vehicle as well. So just remember, anything that is of 3D interference within this grid, whether it's electronic, whether it's satellite, whatever it may be, we can always exercise our sovereignty and our free will by saying, I do not consent to any energetic interference, because there is that element. So if you rise above that in your intention and your vibration, it absolutely works. And I know it works because I use it. Now, what you can put in your car is the exact same things that I just mentioned. You can put under your seat, in your car, in the driver's seat, and under the passenger seat are these smaller hematite crystals or tumbled stones of black tourmaline or shungite, things like that are the ones that I use the most. And I think that there are even some car plugins that have crystals in them now, for that reason, which I think is really, really cool. So I would do basically the same thing. Yeah, synchronicity is off the chart right now. Yeah. Yeah. She saw 1112223 all in one day, and they were bus numbers. Yeah, it's not just the phone. It could be a license plate number. I saw 555 the other day. It was like JSW 555. Like, they'll find a way to get it. It doesn't have to just be the clock. But the clock is the easiest way for them to show you those numbers for sure. Yeah, 1111. I feel like the most common right now are 1111, 444, and 555, because I think a lot of the collective has gotten past the 222 healing, beginning of the healing phase, and the 333. I think it's really like 444, 555, and 1111 are the most common. Oh, Mark, 144, that's another one. So this is a controversial topic. I'm not going to talk too much about it tonight, but there is 144,000. Again, it's a collective energy. It's not necessarily a group of souls. I think that there's a lot of misconceptions, and even I have misunderstood it in the past. But it represents light workers, and star seeds that come here to be part of this massive, great shift, this grand rising. And it's 144,000. And I think there's a lot of hoopla that goes with that, and a lot of people don't like it. But if you're seeing 144, I see it all the time. There's addresses near me of 144. There's 144,000, and there's another one that's 144 on the other side of the neighborhood. And every single time, it doesn't matter. I look up. I happen to look up. I don't even think about it, and I'm like, oh, that house again. So I see that too. Hi, Deborah. Hi. You guys are all amazing. Thank you for all the really nice comments. Oh, I'm sorry this happened, Lisa. Anxiety and the energies triggered your son's seizure last night. Absolutely. Unfortunately, it can. Think about it this way. A lot of these star seeds, especially the children, are so high frequency. There's a struggle right now for the body to integrate the light. It's just, our bodies are still evolving and still shifting, and we've gotten so far. The fact that the star seeds today are able to come in shows that we've made huge progress, because probably 30, 40 years ago, even 15 years ago, they wouldn't have been able to, the miscarriages, and the body can't hold that frequency. So a lot is changing every single day. Our bodies are shifting and unlocking portions of our DNA that have been dormant. And I did a whole video on that. But so unfortunately, though, there are moments where there are massive shifts or solar flares, 3D interference, a million different reasons that can send a jolt of energy to these star seeds. And it can actually it can cause a seizure because it's almost like it's a short circuit is the word that I was given many years ago. It's like the body short circuits, and that's where a lot of these seizures come from, because it's like for that moment the body disconnects from the energy is too strong. The body can't handle it. It literally has a short circuit or an electrical surge, and it can cause that. And what's going on in Hawaii right now in Maui is just, there's a lot going on with the Lemuria energy. But it's healing. And so I choose not to focus on the negative. And I know that the Lemurians are healing right now, and it's a massive ancestral healing that's going on. Yeah, God's armor. I use Kathy, great point. I say this almost every day when I work with my clients, because I work with clients every single day. Well, not every day. I take some days off, but when I work with my clients, I don't know who's going to be on the Zoom. When I turn it on and I connect with people from all over the world, like many different countries, I have no idea. I just send out a universal message that I only attract those that are ready for healing, that are good people, that are genuine and ready for this level of healing to occur, and that I'm protected. And when I work with these people, I say, I consciously say, I wear the light armor of God. today and always. And I only work with the light, and I reinforce it frequently because, there are people that come into my life, and I'm sure all of yours, that have malintentions, and they do everything to siphon your energy and pretend to be your friend. And you have to constantly remind the universe, your soul's not for sale. No, I do not consent. I cannot be purchased. I cannot be bought. I cannot be handled. I cannot be controlled. And I say it all the time because it doesn't matter if there's a person in front of me. I'm letting the energy know because I can feel it. I can feel the psychic attack. I know when beings are around. Even though I've requested not to see it, doesn't mean that I can't feel it. So I know when I'm being attacked psychically. I feel it. Sometimes I know exactly where it's coming from and who. No matter how many times I've blocked the people, so you have to continue wearing the armor of God and remind the universe, the negative energies. Just reminding you that I do not consent, and my soul is not for sale, and you cannot control me. And I just keep repeating it, and sometimes you got to do that. Oh, I don't know why I just clicked on your thing, Mark, but I guess I was meant to put it up here. So he said his fiance had a dream recently where they were talking about fire, financial independence, retire early. Oh, well, absolutely. They answered the absolute with certainty. I can say yes. Now, the question is time is just the time element here speeds up, slows down. It's like there are moves, there are counts. There are moves by the light, there are moves by the dark. There's also the collective consciousness and our thoughts and our projections. So there's a lot of variables people don't realize, and they get so upset that things aren't happening at the speed in which they would like, especially the financial, sector and all of that, and our ability to be free. And just remember that there's a lot of negative thoughts that are being pumped into our collective, and people are focusing on the negative, and that is hindering a lot of this from moving forward. So the time is really hard to determine. And if there's any psychic out there or any truther or anyone out there that's trying to pretend like they know a date, I would be concerned about where they're getting that date from and why they're saying that. But I do believe, and I'll say, all I'm going to say is what I've said years ago, and I continue to stand by it. 2023, which I also believe why the number 23 has been following me for 20 years, since I connected to my husband, because we have a soul contract to do many things together. And that's why we've been together so long, and we will continue to be together as long as we are able to and be in these bodies. So the 23 follows us, and that's because I didn't know that. But now, a couple of years ago, I figured it out that 2023 is the year that everything changes. And that doesn't mean that everything will be beautiful and we're going to be done. And at Christmas time this year, we'll be celebrating and we'll all quit our jobs. And no, I don't think that. But it'll be the year that our children's children look back and say, that was the year that everything changed. That's a lot is going to occur. A lot's shifting and changing. And then, 2024, we're going to need all the healers, and we're going to need all of the coaches and just all the beautiful people that are ready to step in to be of service, to guide those that are recently woken up and are ready to, that are looking for direction and guidance with compassion and empathy from those that have already awakened. And 2024 is going to be that. It's going to be about rebuilding, and I think we'll start to have things in phases where we will move out of the money will shift in the timing that's best for everybody, and we will move out of that, and we'll walk into what we're passionate about. Why do I know that? Not because I research. I hate research. I failed that in school. I was the worst. Like the worst. So I know what I'm telling you. I know because of my sessions where I have seen day after day through sessions. I see a glimpse into people's futures and what they're going to be doing. And when I see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those over the years, now thousands, I have to put that together as my own evidence that this is where we're going. And I would say pretty much 100% of them are not in 9-to-5 jobs. It's jobs of passion and of service to others and community building and all of the things that I talked about in the part 3 of my book. So we'll get there. We're just, it's coming sooner than we think. Oh yeah, miscarriages. I did a video as part of the 3D interference series in the beginning called birth trauma. I can't remember what I called it, but it was all about childbirth and pregnancy, and I talk about that a lot. And there's a lot of 5D pregnancies going on. I just started. I've been getting questions for years. Can you do hypnobirthing again? I don't have the time to do hypnobirthing again because it's very time consuming, and I just can't. But I just decided recently to start doing childbirth kind of intuitive coaching sessions with women because there are so many 5D pregnancies, miscarriages, and there's an explanation for all of that. And so I've talked about that in other videos. I won't get into it here. But I am trying to help as many people as I can. And so, yeah, miscarriages are one of those because our bodies just can't hold the frequency of these beautiful souls coming through. So I coach people that many times it's not a viable pregnancy. It never was. It never was. It was a dry run. It was like our body. It was a practice to get the soul in, to start to integrate, and then the soul exited, and then they come back again. Sometimes it takes 2-3 times. Sometimes you get lucky on the first, and sometimes it takes a few. So a lot of those miscarriages are just the body. It's just the soul's way of getting the body prepared for that high frequency. So there's a whole lot more to it than that. Well, I think that's the end of everything. We've been on for, oh my gosh, it's been over an hour. Thank you guys for giving me more of your attention. I hope that I was able to answer questions you didn't know you had or answer questions you did have. Diana, oh, that's a good question. Would bubbling up with a protective anti-tick bubble? Yes. Yes. I'm laughing because I do. Okay, so I'm a big chicken when it comes to going into the ocean, and I love the ocean. It's actually my favorite thing. It's the Lemurian part of me, but I'm terrified of the waves and the beautiful creatures that I respect wholeheartedly that live in the ocean, but that could also hurt me. And so I go in there, and I'm such a big chicken, and my family laughs at me. But I'm like, please, I have this protective barrier of energy, so I don't get bit by a shark or a jelly or stung by a jellyfish or bit by a crab or something. And I'm like, I'm in my bubble of light. I'm in my bubble of light. And I send all this love to them so that I'm like, please don't hurt me. I love you. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I do it. And I do it all the time. So, we don't love the ticks because we know that the ticks are 3D interference and they have been placed here to mess with us, hurt us, and carry disease. So you can do the same way, but you're not going to send love to the tick. So basically what you do is you just create a high frequency field and you say, I do not consent to being bit by ticks. And so it is. And you just you consciously put off a vibration that the ticks won't like. You don't have to know what it is. You're just saying, I'm putting off a vibration that will not attract them or it will repel them. And believe me, your soul will know what to do with that. It will know what to do next. You don't have to like sing or hum or anything silly. It will. All right. Well, I think that's it. I think I answered everyone's questions. If I missed anything, I apologize, but we'll do it the next time. So I appreciate your energy exchange tonight. I appreciate everybody's kind words and your questions. I'm going to do this again in a few weeks. Probably I'll just keep doing it a couple times a month. I think it's really important, especially because I can't wait. I think it's nice for me to talk about what's coming up in my sessions in these condensed interviews that I'm doing and lives. So it's a good way to get information out to people without doing separate videos for everything because I just don't have the time. So this is a great way to communicate with all of you and keep you updated on what I'm learning in my sessions. And also I'll keep taking side notes on what's relevant. And then I'll also take your questions for future videos. So you guys are awesome. Just giving shout outs to all of your kind comments. You guys are amazing. So I hope you guys all have a good rest of your evening. Please check out the Aramis Creative Learning Center. We are offering classes again this month on a limited basis, and we'll try to add more every month. We're just, our mentors are amazing people, and I love you guys so much, and I'm so grateful for you. And they all have busy lives, and they're basically volunteering their time because they all love children and they want to help this movement move forward. So thank you, Mark. Thank you to all of the amazing mentors that work with me. I appreciate you. So check out Aramis Creative Learning Center because we have great classes. Mark has some great ones coming up. We have Chasen has some astrology courses coming up. Angela has spirit animal class coming up. Melissa has a growth mindset class coming up. Carla has a beautiful organite pyramid class where you can design your own pyramid with an I am affirmation. There'll be one for children and there will be one for adults. I can't think of the other ones right now. I apologize, but check them out. I also have a couple of slots left in a healing course that I will be starting next weekend on Sundays. It'll be 3 weeks, and it's going to be a conscious healing class going into how to remove cords, how to tap into so many different layers of protection and ancestral healing. So check that out. So thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate all of you. If you've read the book and you haven't, if you've read my new book, Star Seeds and the Great Awakening, and you haven't reviewed it yet, please do that. It helps me out. Let me know what you think and put a review on Amazon for me. I would greatly appreciate it. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure talking with you all tonight. Talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.